Hello viewers, tutorial 1, question 9, and it is another of these simplify a whole bunch of powers type questions. So we also see on that piece of paper the formulae, that those are the same formulae that we used back in question 4. So let's make a start. We need to separate the number part from the letter part to begin with. So we've got a 2 inside the bracket, but the whole bracket is squared, so the 2 has to be squared as well. So the letter part is x squared y to the 5, z to the 10, and that's all squared. And on the bottom we have square root of 16, and the letter part there is square root of x to the 8, y to the 10, z to the 20. So we have 2 squared is 4, over square root of 16 is also 4. 4 over 4 is 1, so that number part cancels out completely. Now we have to square this bracket. So we can use the x to the m to the n equals x to the mn rule. Powers inside the bracket can be multiplied with powers outside the bracket. So we get x to the 2 times 2 is 4. Y to the 5 times 2 is 10, z to the 10 times 2 is 20. Over, what have we got? We've got x to the 8, y to the 10, z to the 20, all to the power of a half. Remember that the square root is the same thing as the power of half. So we have x to the 4, y to the 10, z to the 20, over. Now let's work out what's on the bottom. We're back into our powers inside the brackets and outside the bracket situation. So we have x to the 8 times a half is 4. We have y to the 10 times a half is 5. And z to the 20 times a half is 10. Now the x's. X to the 4 over x to the 4. Powers on the top and on the bottom cancel out exactly. So there will be no x in our final answer. So those have cancelled out. Now we have powers of y. We have y to the 10 over y to the 5. Subtract the powers. This is going to be y to the 10 minus 5 is 5. And we have z to the 20 minus 10, which is 10. So it's there's no fraction here because both the y and the z are on the top. So we can think of it as being over 1 if we want to. Okay, so that's question A. Now question B, we have to simplify cube root of 64, x to the 9, y to the 12, z to the 6. That's all over 8x to the 4, y cubed, z squared. So separate the number part from the letter part. So that gives us cube root of 64 times the cube root of x to the 9, y to the 12, z to the 6. Number part on the bottom is just 8, and the letter part on the bottom is x to the 4, y cubed, z squared. Okay, so cube root of 64, that's 4 because 4 cubed is 64. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, so that's 4 over 8. And we have on this top under the cube root, can think of this as being all as one bracket to the power of 1. And we can write this as that bracket as x to the 9, y to the 12, z to the 6 to the power of 1/3. And the bottom is fine as is, x to the 4, y cubed, z squared. So 4 over 8 is a half. Now we have x to the 9 times a third because we're back to our powers inside the brackets, outside the brackets, multiply them together situation. So that's x cubed, y to the 12 times a third is 4, and z to the power of 6 times a third is 2, over x to the 4, y to the 3, z squared. Okay, so we can see that our powers of z are the same on top and bottom, so they cancel out, and there will be no z in our final answer. So we get a half. Now the x bit, we have x cubed over x to the 4. Bigger power is on the bottom, so x will be on the bottom, and that power is going to be 4 minus 3 is 1, so x to the 1 on the bottom. Y has its bigger power on the top, so this is going to be y on top. 4 minus 3 is 1, so it's going to be 1/2 of y over x, which is the same thing as y over 2x. Okay, thanks for watching. Over and out.